Welcome to TVBS Meeting Room, where we tackle global issues with a view from Taiwan. I'm your host, Wenqi Yu. Today's guest is Ivan Kanapathy, former Deputy Senior Director for Asian Affairs in the Trump administration's White House National Security Council. A former Top Gun instructor, Ivan was the military attaché at the American Institute in Taiwan. He's a well-known expert on Taiwan's defense. He recently contributed to The Boiling Moat, a new book about the urgent steps to defend Taiwan. So welcome back, Ivan. It's really about what Taiwan needs to do to strengthen its deterrence to preempt China's annexation. Can you share sort of the rationale behind the rising sense of urgency?
China is building capabilities faster in a way that would tip the military balance to a point where they might feel much more confident about attempting an invasion. And so the urgency really comes from that sense that we're approaching.
So you also wrote a whole chapter about the scenarios of China's use of force on Taiwan. Can you just sort of lay it out there, some of the scenarios that you think might happen in the case of a China invasion?
I think Xi Jinping assumes he needs to accomplish in Taiwan. He can only do that with really a brutal and alarming amount of force. Probably leading with a lot of missiles, hitting a lot of the key infrastructure, military sites around Taiwan to before actually, landing troops on Taiwan by 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, who knows, a lot of troops on Taiwan in order to secure it.
It sounds like you suggest that, she will basically be very determined and deploy lots of forces.
Xi Jinping can't assume that the Taiwanese people are going to give up, without a fight, which I think a blockade scenario is premised on that assumption. Lived in Taiwan for 3 years and visiting there often ever since. And I think the Taiwanese people are extremely resilient and very much love their democracy. And I think in a blockade scenario, they would be very resilient.
You also discuss gray zone activities. Can you say what some of the activities may be?
For example, the flights and ships around, a lot of it is annoying, is a political message, but is it truly dangerous to Taiwan in any way? I would suggest it's not.
So it sounds like it's more sending political message rather than real threats, military threats.
I mean, we have to be aware that China can lob 2,000 missiles at Taiwan tomorrow without launching a single plane or launching a single ship. So the ships and planes, while important, they're not necessarily indicative of the threat.
How much more does the U.S. want Taiwan to do in order to satisfy the demands of the U.S.? So how would you respond to that?
Taiwan needs to demonstrate that it wants to defend itself. And that's how it will get the United States to defend Taiwan. And that's more the premise of the book, I think. It's not about what Taiwan's doing for America. It's what Taiwan's willing to do for itself.
So if there is a second Trump administration, if there's going to be any change in terms of U.S. policy towards Taiwan or China?
I think they would really pick up where the first Trump administration left off in general. And for the policies that were continued by the Biden administration, Taiwan doesn't have to worry about who's in power in the White House. I think largely continuity. There will be little cosmetic changes here and there, as there always are.